Okay, so let's continue our going over the idea of converting units. So our previous examples, notice all of them, there was a direct single unit conversion that I could use to make the transition. And so sometimes you'll encounter situations where you might not know the exact conversion in one step, and you might have to do it in two steps. So my example right here is I want to convert 10 miles into yards. Now, there is a direct conversion, don't get me wrong, but it's not in our table. So if you do know how many yards are in a mile, just hang on. My point is I want to show you what to do when we don't know the conversion directly. Okay, so if I'm starting with miles in this problem, example 2, according to my chart, can I convert miles into something else? Yeah, I can convert miles into feet. Okay, I don't have a direct conversion of miles into yards, but I can convert miles into feet. So let's do that. So this is just reviewing what we did last time. So I've got my 10 miles times my unit conversion. And up in the box, it says 1 mile is 5,280 feet. So remind me, where am I going to put the 1 mile? Where am I going to put the 5,280 feet? Perfect. Love the confidence. The 1 mile goes on the bottom. The reason, in case you don't remember, that we put it there is so that I can cancel. Okay, I want to get rid of the units that are already there so that I can have the new units. So now what I've done is I've converted miles into feet, but what I want to do is I want to convert miles to yards. Okay, so I'm going to go back up to my chart. I'm just going to slide it back up here. Okay, so can I get from feet to yards? Yeah, 1 yard is 3 feet. We used that one actually last time we were together. So 1 yard is 3 feet. So here we go. So 1 yard is 3 feet. This time I'm going to put the 3 feet in the bottom for the same reason we talked about in the previous step in 1 yard. And so notice after all is said and done, I canceled my miles, I canceled my feet. The only units left is yards. So after I do my arithmetic here, the result will be yards. Again, just helping your review. What am I going to do with the 10 and the 5,280? What operation? You multiply, they're both in the numerator, so you get 52,800. And then what am I going to do with that 52,800 and the 3? You're going to divide. Perfect. So you just take your calculator, you go right along, and it's going to be 17,600 yards. So hopefully what you see there is doing the unit conversions 2 or 3 or 4 or 19 times is no more of an issue than doing it once. You just got to make sure you keep canceling the units you don't want. So what I would like you to do, please, is I'd like you to convert in exercise 5. I'd like you to convert feet to centimeters. Actually, there is a direct conversion. So bad job, Professor. You didn't do great with that. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's change this to yards. So what I would like you to do, please, is I would like you to convert yards to feet, which we did last time, then convert feet to centimeters. So I just want to make sure you're doing 2 conversions. So just changing the problem just slightly. $18 yards, yes, and then convert feet to yards first. Okay, so getting started, there's another way you could do this with the information given in the chart, but just so that we're all doing the same thing, I asked you to convert yards into feet. So we know the conversion here is 3 feet is in 1 yard. And I put the yards in the bottom. I hope you did as well, so that will cancel. And then times, now my goal is to take the yards to convert the centimeters. My current unit is feet. So looking over at the table over here, there is a conversion between feet and centimeters right there. 30.5 centimeters is 1 foot. So 1 foot is 30.5 centimeters. I can cancel the feet, and now it's just a calculator issue. So anybody got that? 18 times 3 times 30.5? 549. Thank you very much. Sounds great to me. All right, so do exercise 6. Unless you know a conversion that's not in the chart, which is quite possible, you're going to have to do three unit fractions for exercise 6, but that's just 50% more fun. Yeah.
For some reason, my calculator keeps giving me like 1,547.
Uh-oh. Let's see what happens here. So so let's see. Here's my lovely Apple phone. So here we go. 18 times 3 gives me 54 times 30.5. And okay, we are 1647. So
if you do it the other way, it gives you that other number.
If you do what the other way?
If you do 18 times 30.5, you're doing feet to centimeters, it gives you 540.
Oh, okay. So the 549 is if you just went right from feet. If you didn't change it to yards like I asked you to, then that's the answer. So there we go. Apologize for that. So 1647 is the revised problem. So 1647 centimeters. Gotcha. Thank you for clearing that up. Appreciate it. Okay, so exercise 6 then. We're converting days into seconds. I'm just going to get started, so you keep working if you're working. So looking up at the chart that we have, the first thing I can convert days into is hours. Okay, now again, if you know the direct conversion from days to minutes, or if you know how many minutes are in a day, that's great, but I don't have that off the top of my head. So I'm using the chart, so days to hours. So I know that in 1 day, there are 24 hours. Okay. So that gets rid of the days. Now, instead of days, I have hours, but my goal here is to get down to seconds. So again, if you know how many seconds are in an hour, good. You've got one more step, but I don't know that off the top of my head. So I'm going to convert hours into minutes. So in 1 hour, I've got 60 minutes. So now I've got rid of my hours. So I've started with days, got rid of those, turned them into hours, got rid of those. Turned them into minutes. Again, I need seconds, so I've got one more conversion to do. In 1 minute, there are 60 seconds. So now my minutes are gone. Okay, so it's just a progressive problem of making sure that you're keeping track of what units you're working toward. So on this one, 13 times 24 times 60 times 60, it's going to be a fairly large number. And what is that number? All right, we got confirmation on that? All right, sounds good to me. It seems like it should be a large number, and that looks great. Okay, so is there any basic questions about doing unit conversions? Are we doing all right with this? I want to put 2 or 3 of these on the test. I want full confidence that you're going to mop those points up and do great on it. So the last one I put on here, again, just in case you're in some sort of science class, sometimes you encounter rates, or a lot of times you encounter rates. And what a rate is it's a ratio between our units. So for instance, you know what a rate is because you encounter it. When you have miles divided by hours, that is a rate, okay? And we're going to turn miles per hours into kilometers per minute. That's another rate. In the example you're going to do, liters per hour, that is a rate, okay? So you have a ratio of one unit to another. So I'm just going to over here, I'm going to start off with 50 miles. And then now, all the problems we've done just have had a unit in the top. Now we have an hour in the bottom, okay? So that's what a rate is. So I've got a unit in the top now, a unit in the bottom now. So what I would like to do is I'd like to turn miles per hour into kilometers per minute. So let's forget the hour for a minute. Okay, let's just treat this like it's a problem we've done. Let's convert the miles into kilometers. So what is the conversion from the chart to turn miles into kilometers? Perfection. Thank you for finding that. And so where am I going to put the 1 mile? In the bottom. Okay, and I think we would all agree with that because we've done that several times. I started with a mile in the top. I put the mile in the bottom so that they'll cancel. Okay, so no more miles. So now if I was done with the problem, the rate would be kilometers per hour. Okay, so if you're wondering how on our American cars, how they get that little, if you have the speedometer that has the little circle inside with the kilometers per hour, you can do the conversion now for any of that. Okay, but we want kilometers per minute. Okay, so we already did this. How many minutes are in an hour? 60. Yes, that's fairly common knowledge. Now here's the thing. Okay, so this is kind of the extension of our learning. This time though, the hours started out in the bottom. So we're going to put well said, we're going to put the 1 hour in the top and the 60 minutes in the bottom so that they will again cancel. Does that make sense why we did that? All right, well, if that makes sense, then there's nothing else I can do for you here. So now it's just a matter of doing the multiplying and dividing. So 50 times 1.6 is 80. I'll divide that by 60. We'll round to the 10th if we need to. It is 1.3. So if you're going 50 miles per hour in your car, then you can know that you're going 1.3 kilometers per minute. All right, last problem from this sheet, unless there's any questions, just another rate. Yes, sir. So looking across the top, what am I going to do with the 50 and the 1.6? Yeah, they're both at the top, so I'm going to multiply those. Great. And so 50 times 1.6, that gave me 80. The 60's in the bottom. Yep. And so then in your calculator, just hit divide, and then that's where the 1.3 came from. Great question. I appreciate you asking it. All right, exercise 7. You're starting with 5 liters per hour and convert it to cups per minute. All right, so I'm going to get started. Check your work with my work. So it doesn't matter which order you do this. You can convert the hours to minutes first or the liters to cups first. That's immaterial. So I'm just going to start with the liters because they're up top. So according to my table, to turn liters into cups, it's 0.24 liters is in 1 cup. So the 0.24 goes in the bottom, and then the 1 cup goes up top. So that's going to be a division when I go to do that. I'm going to take the 5 divided by the 0.24. Now I'm going to turn the hours into minutes. So 1 hour is 60 minutes. So now I've gotten rid of that. So let's cross out the liters. I'm left with cups. Let's cross out the hours. I'm left with minutes. Cups in the top, minutes in the bottom. And then again, the whole point of the dimensional analysis or the unit conversions, whatever you want to call this, is so that you don't have to guess on whether you got to multiply or divide. The 5 and the 0.24, the 5's in the top, the 0.24 is in the bottom. So 5 divided by 0.24 gives me 20.83333. I'll just leave that number in my calculator. Then what am I going to do with that number, that 20.8333 and the 60? I'm going to divide. I'm going to hit the divide button again in my calculator and then divide by 60. And it turns out to be 0.3472222. I'll just write down 0.347, and that's cups per minute. And that's how to deal with a rate.